Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game, and today, a re-review of Wave 1's I.K.S. Kronos One. Now, why it needs the I.K.S. designation, I don't know. Just call it the Kronos One. Well, leave out the. Anyway, Kronos One. It's a Katinga class. Not the best maneuver dial. Throwing in the red turns, meh. But does have a come about 4 green maneuvers. Nice from that standpoint. 4-1-4-3. Good stats, little tankier than a Burrell, little less durable than a Cavort, kind of bridges the in between there. Downside here, no tech slot, and that stinks. That's a tough sell for me. But I like the named ability here. Any ship attacking you at range 3 rolls 1 less attack die. So they're taking 1 less attack die. You're getting an extra defense die. You have that while cloaked. It gives you an incentive to play a maneuver game, to try to sensor echo more frequently, take some evades while you can, really become the ship that nobody wants to actually shoot. Good in mission play. Again, it's overpriced. Needs that rework. But I don't think it's like absolute garbage. I think there is a play here where you can actually utilize this ship. Spud's recosting has it at 21. Even then, I think that's overpriced, but I don't think it's hideously over. I don't know. I find a tough balance to actually want to run this ship as a Klingon player for anything other than mission playability, because if I want 4 dice, I'm running a Brel. It just doesn't fit great. We do have a generic. Generic goes crew double weapon, which hurts even more because double crew single weapon would have been a nicer choice, but we live. 16 points now that they've been recosted due to the animated pack. Again, solid. Little pricier than a Burrell, not much for 1 extra durability. Take it or leave it, but I think it works. Again, lack of a tech slot, it's going to hurt you long term. Chang as captain. Skill 6, talent slot 4 points for an action. Spin your target lock to perform this action. Disable the captain card on the target ship that was target locked. So this is a 2-round effect, really. You can couple it with the card from Alliance that lets ships use target locks as if they were their own. I think that could be a play with Chang, but disabling a captain card at the price of a target lock, still not as useful as the Madred shenanigans that you can get up to. For a Klingon Pure, it's playable, and then you're definitely getting off your fire first. So that's something to consider. I think there's potential here, but then you're mixing the newest of the new with Alliance 2 with very old. It's a need for Klingons, but I still think I'd rather spend those target locks on attacking and making sure a ship goes down rather than a simple disable of a captain that an enemy ship can just spend a target lock to re-enable. That's kind of a trade-off that isn't as needed as it once was. All right, Gorkon is another captain here, and for an action, you disable Gorkon, and your ship and every ship that attacks you this round rolls 2 less attack dice. Mission play, very good, especially if you're outnumbered. Your ship against a bunch of ships, Gorkon playable. Especially if you can find a way to re-enable Gorkon passively. I know there's some mixed faction ways to do this with like Mirror McCoy and Esri Dax. That's a potential there. It's a very expensive combo, but if you're really looking for survivability, I don't know if the Klingons have any missions, but If the Federation had a captain like this, this would be a captain ability I would highly consider in Kobayashi Maru. For the Klingon side of it, this is not what you necessarily want for Kobayashi Maru, because you don't need to survive. Although Gorkon running Kobayashi Maru would make the Federation less potent on their offense, and you don't care about one ship, other than the Federation would just shoot a different ship. Anywho, I don't know. It's a thought. Once more onto the breach. Talent, action, discard. To allow your primary weapon to make a total of 2 attacks at -1 attack die each. Downside is you don't get to roll any defense dice. And getting to make 2 different attacks is useful. You can pair this with a Vorcha or a Nagvar. Then you're getting to make 2 4-dice attacks. I can see this working well with a Nanklis. That's a Romulan crew that says that the target ship rolls 0 defense dice. So at that point, putting in 2 attacks of 4 is better than 1 attack of 5. It also works as a talent you can hide under DNA encoded messages as a choice talent. I definitely wouldn't pay 5 points to run this and only run this, but it's an option. Where it does come in is where you need to do just a little bit of damage, 1 or 2 damage, to try to finish off a ship, and then you still want to try to target another ship. This has that potential. There's times I would have loved this in Alliance, where I've got a ship down to 1. I want to make a little baby attack, finish them off, and then go target another ship. That's just kind of the trade-off here. And I'm okay rolling 0 defense dice because I'm not going to be the target. So, yeah, I struggle with once more onto the breach, because unless you can get out of the targeting arcs of ships, you're running a massive risk. So there is that trade-off, and you have to decide as your action when other ships are going to move after you, probably. If you can run this on like Martok, where you have a pretty high skill, then you've got a decent chance there. I don't know. Photon torpedoes, you got 5 dice, range 2 to 3 attacks, spin your target lock, disable this card, convert a battle station into a crit, forward rear arc firing. It's okay, but again, overpriced. But that was the story of torpedoes for a very long time. I just don't think the designers knew how to cost torpedoes, or they were just too stubborn for way too long. They did get better. Concussive charges. This is secondary weapon, 4 dice, range 2 to 3. Spend your target lock, disable the card. For every uncancelled hit or crit, the target ship loses a token of your choice that's been placed beside it in the play area. Now, this is one where if you can fire first, you can remove someone's cloak token. I think you got to pair it with some really interesting combos. You got to find a way to take their defense dice down. That's like an Anklis again, an energy dissipator shot, something like that, where if you can get that through first to really knock them down, then you make them lose tokens, and then you have other ships to follow up. Concussive charges have a play to them. Now, it's tough because you have to have a target lock on the ship. So how to really make that work, that's going to be a pain. But there are some combos out there that let you target lock through cloak. Or even to fire this without needing a cloak. That's the kind of, or not without a cloak, without a target lock. That's the kind of cards you're going to need to put on here. I do think concussive charges can work. I've wanted to see them work. I haven't seen them play out that way, but I do think there's potential here. Kurla is a 2-point crew. When defending against a ship at range 1, you may convert one of your battle station results into an evade. And I like the premise. I wish it was better. I wish that Kurla worked at more than range 1. Kurla needs to go on a cloaked ship. That's just the play here. Works very nicely with the new helmsman from Alliance that also lets you convert a battle station to an evade while you're cloaked, and or gives you more defense dice. So there is a play there, and converting a few dice to evades helps. So again, I think there's potential. And lastly, we have Stex. Stex is if a crew upgrade on an enemy ship would cause your ship to discard or disable any of your upgrades, roll 2 defense dice. If you roll at least 1 evade result, ignore the effects of the enemy upgrade. I have never been a fan of cards like this because they're too much risk and they're too limited. It's if a crew upgrade, so only a crew, captains, admirals, ambassadors, tech, all these things that can force damage on you or force discards, disables, they don't matter. And then even if you do have the crew that's doing this, you still have to roll 2 defense dice. Well, your odds of rolling at least 1 evade are let's see, the odds of not rolling an evade are 25 out of 64. So your odds to roll an evade are the inverse of that. So that's what, 39 out of 64. So if I do some quick math, we've got 61%, 60.937%. Basically 61% will of the time this will work. I don't want a card that only works 60% of the time, 61% of the time. I want a card that works all the time. If it's going to be a protection, a limited protection card. I understand it's cheap, but 2 points and a crew slot is not cheap enough when I could use it instead for guaranteed defense or guaranteed offense. Those are just my choices. That's why Stex, not my choice. But I do think there's a lot here that can be good. I think Concussive Charges, Kurla, they have play. Once More Into the Breach has potential. Not the best. Klingon talents have gotten better, but I do think there's still some play here. Even Gorkon and Chang have play, mission play. Yes, this is a very heavy thematic mission play pack. But that's Kronos One, and that's a pack that goes back to like September, October of 2013. Here we are almost 10 years later, and there's still play in this pack. So anyway, go watch Undiscovered Country in honor of this pack. It's a good one. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Till next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care.